everyone, and welcome to YarnGasm. I'm Kristen, and this is episode 205. Welcome back to new and returning viewers. As always, this is a show primarily about knitting. Not so much spinning lately, but we've got a lot of sewing and hand dyeing yarn, which is what I do for a living. So as always, I'm just really happy that you are taking some time out of your day to chat about those things with me. And I have a show for you today. Lots going on, although I'm going to try and keep it down to a 30-minute episode. That is my goal for this week and going forward, because I would like to just keep the podcast under 30 minutes. And I apologize for any ambient noise you might hear outside my window. I live in Brooklyn. It's quite noisy, and today's the first day I can actually keep the windows open because it's not a heat wave outside, so it's actually quite nice. So it's nice to get some fresh air, and so I'm leaving the windows open, and we may hear some ambient noise in the background. But anyway, let's get on with the show. So before I get into what I've been making, I just want to do a little recap of some knit-alongs that we have going on, or that are underway, or that are going to happen. So right now, just to give a little recap, because I feel like I haven't mentioned it in the past couple of episodes, we have a year-long Box O' Socks Cal happening right now. So it kicked off January 1st, 2016, and it will end January 1st, 2017. And the idea is to knit as many pairs of socks as you possibly can before January 1st, 2017. You must have a minimum of 12 pairs, and you must have a really awesome box to store them in. It can be any kind of box you want. The more creative, the better, because I will also be giving away a prize for the most creative box. I'm not sure how I'm going to go about that, but I think there'll be a method to my madness. I haven't decided yet. So join the Box of Socks Cal if you'd like. It's never too late. If you can knit 12 pairs by January 2017, I say go for it. And then another knit-along that I announced last week was our unicorn along, which I'm co-hosting with Magdalena. Hi, Magdalena, from the WOLFF and SCHAFE podcast, another lovely podcast that you should totally check out if you haven't already. And the idea essentially is to pretty much just knit unicorns, have fun. Yeah, just anything of or pertaining to unicorns. Pegacorns are okay. Magdalena and I decided that narwhals are totally cool for the knit along, because let's face it, narwhals, they are unicorns. They are real living live unicorns living amongst us. So the narwhals get a pass. Yeah, so if you haven't already, do join the YarnGasm Ravelry group and the WOLFF and SCHAFE Ravelry group. We have, both Magdalena and I have respective threads for the unicorn cal, so join in. You can totally double dip, it's highly encouraged, and just have fun knitting unicorns. As I mentioned, the thread, both of our threads are already filling up with such adorable, gorgeous, beautiful, magical unicorn projects already. So have a look at it, and yeah, if you love unicorns, I think this is the knit along for you. And we have someone revving up their motorcycle outside. So get a lot of ambient Brooklyn noise today. So let me wait until that passes. It's gonna start up again. I know it's gonna start up again. But anyway, last but not least, I'm just announcing this. It's a make-along. I'm announcing it for the first time this week. I was speaking with Benjamin Crudwig from the Design Time podcast, another excellent podcast, and we decided to co-host, are you ready for this, a Victorian make-along. Oh yeah, it's happening. So as you know, as I mentioned last week, I have signed up for a craftsy class in corsetry, corset making, and I already watched the class from start to finish, and I am so excited to just get on with making a corset. At this point, I'm just collecting all my materials. It's a lot of materials, you guys. I think I have to get specific fabric, I have to get grommets. I actually have a grommet maker, or a grommet, or an eyelet puncher. Some people call it grommets, some people call it eye holes, or eyelets I should say. And then I have to get the busk, it's a lot. So right now I'm just gathering my materials, which is cool, because we've decided, which is all right, because we've decided that the kickoff date will be September 1st, and the deadline will be October 31st. So about 2 months to create something Victorian-tastic. So yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but yeah, the whole idea is to just create something of or inspired by Victorian times. Benjamin mentioned that he is going to be weaving the fabric and then making a gentleman's vest. So really exciting. I can't wait to see how that turns out. But yeah, very excited about that, because if you've been watching the podcast, you know how obsessed I am with all things historical, like historical fashion and themes and everything. Yeah, so exciting. So yay. Okay, so that's 3 knit-alongs slash make-alongs that are happening with the YarnGasm podcast, and amongst 2 others. So we have the WOLFF and SHAFE podcast and Design Time, which are, again, excellent podcasts that you should check out, and I will link to them in the show notes along with everything else that I mentioned in the episode, and you can find those show notes over at yarngasmpodcast.com. So yeah, again, like, I totally forget to mention these things at the top of the episode, so I might just sprinkle the important information within the episode as I come to them. But anyway, yeah, so okay, so let's move along to what I've been making. So I have something off the needles, you guys, and I am very excited about this. This was kind of an impromptu, I don't even know if I showed this off on the podcast. It was just last week, because it was just so quick to knit up, and I don't know what it was. I know I have like 2 other shawls on the needles. I have a shawl design that I'm working on, which I put on the back burner for a little bit. I know if you are one of my test knitters, I'm so sorry. I just kind of hit a little brick wall with the edging, and I needed kind of a palette cleanser, if you will. So I cast something else on. Don't worry, I've picked up the design again. It's all good. I'm just finalizing a couple things and, you know, working on the edging basically. But if you're waiting on the design, I will email you and let you know when exactly you will have a pattern coming to you. So I apologize. But yes, I cast on the Amethyste shawl, which is a really lovely pattern by ULRICH. I still have to weave in the ends, but it's blocked. And this is actually a gift from the pattern was a gift from Allie of the, I said Abby last week, but it was actually Allie of the Get Lit and Knit podcast. They have 2. Get Lit and Knit has 2 co-hosts. There's Abby and Allie, so you can see how I get confused. But anyway, it was Allie. Yes, Allie. See, again, totally confused. She, you know, we did a little swap, and she just added a little pattern in with the swap. And thank you so much, Allie. This was such a fun knit. I really enjoyed knitting it. It was just, like, I know I say this every week, this is exactly what I needed. And because I'm already done with it, you can tell, like, yeah, this is exactly what I needed. And it's just such a beautiful shawl, and it's really just a shawlette because it's so tiny. But this is knit out of Voolenvine yarns, my hand-dyed yarns, in the Volca base, which is a merino nylon cashmere 4-ply blend. And yeah, it's fingering in the I Am No Bird colorway. And I was a little apprehensive about, or hesitant about using such a variegated speckled colorway. But I really think that the colors play so well together, you know, and yeah, it just turned out really lovely. I feel like I'm babbling this week, guys. But anyway, here it is. I really love the way this colorway knit up. This is one of my favorite colorways that I dye, so yeah, it will be in the shop this week because I dyed some more of it. But yeah, just a really pleasant, intuitive pattern that was very fun and quick and easy to knit up. They do have instructions for a larger version, but yeah, I just wanted something quick to, you know, pull together and just cleanse my creative palette, if you will, because yeah, I definitely needed to put my design aside and clear the pipes, if you will, if that makes any sense. But yeah. So that is one project off the needles. I feel like it's been a while since I had a finished object. So yay, finished object. And then the other thing that I have been working on, I realized, you guys, Rhinebeck is nigh. It's coming. It's about 2 months away, which is crazy. So I'm obviously going to Rhinebeck. I'm going to be vending at the Indian Tangled Trunk Show, which is a trunk show that happens the night before Rhinebeck. So the Friday night, it's at a hotel in Kingston. I believe it's the Best Western. Anyway, I'll let you guys know more details as we come closer to the date. But check out the Indie Untangled website. You can find all the information there. But yeah, Rhinebeck is coming up, and I realized I don't have a Rhinebeck sweater. I mean, I have my Stonecutter, which is fine. It's a good backup, but I just kind of wanted, you know, I get excited about Rhinebeck, so I just want something to work on to anticipate Rhinebeck, and what better way to do that than cast on a new sweater or cardigan, right? So I knew I wanted to knit a cardigan or a sweater out of my hand-dyed yarn, and I was browsing Ravelry like you do. I even browsed my library, my queue and everything, and one pattern that stood out to me was this really gorgeous cardigan pattern by LOCATELLI. It's called RECOLETA, and it's paid for pattern, but here it is. I printed it out in color. So yeah, how beautiful is this? Yeah, it kind of reminds me, it has the same shape as the pomme de pin cardigan, but I really love that kind of style. So I figured, you know, if I love that style, I'm definitely going to love wearing this. The only thing is, the yarn, I've stopped dyeing worsted weight yarn. It's just my personal preference. I don't really me personally, I don't work with worsted weight yarns. And it also doesn't really do well when I do dye it up in the shop and offer it in the shop. So the largest weight of yarn that I do offer is DK weight, which is my Smitten DK weight, which is again another superwash merino nylon blend, and it's super soft. So that was the first yarn that came to mind. And you know, substituting yarn is a common thing to do, although I have not substituted yarns many times when it comes to garment knitting. So I had to do a little research, but it is, and you know, the cool thing about Ravelry is that you can search patterns like that search other versions of the pattern that other people have knit. This is not news, so you probably know that, but I got to do a custom search for this pattern and filter out only the people that have knit this pattern using a DK weight yarn, which was really helpful. And everyone has, you know, some people offer helpful notes and everything, so it is possible to knit this pattern using a DK weight. And like you do a swatch, right? Especially if you're substituting yarn weights and yarn fibers, because I believe the one that featured in the RECOLETA pattern is actually 100% wool, whereas it's 100% worsted wool, where I am substituting it out for superwash merino nylon cashmere DK weight. So you definitely don't want to mess around, you know, just wing it. You don't want to wing it. So I did two swatches. I did one using the called for needle size, and I got relatively decent gauge on it. Nothing too crazy, but here's one swatch. It's blocked, and I really love the way that this colorway knit up. I'll talk about it in a little bit, but here's one swatch. I mean, this is the first swatch that I knit with a US size 6 needle, and I think it's a 4, I could totally be wrong. It might be 4.5 millimeter. I could be totally wrong. And then I went down a needle, 2 needle sizes to a US size 4. And this is definitely going to be too small of gauge. So I think I'm going to stick with the US 6 because it was pretty much on point as far as gauge goes. So yay, awesome. And that's, you know, the cool thing, even though I used like a skinnier, a lighter weight yarn compared to the worsted, the fact that superwash has a tendency to stretch, I think that helped it out, helped the swatch reach the required gauge. So yay, win. So very excited about that. I'm definitely going to be casting that on today, but let me talk about the yarn again. Again, this is my hand-dyed yarn on the Smitten DK base. And this is my Tega colorway. So it's kind of like this very like brown, like a very beige brown, like an antique, I want to say, like an antique brown with undertones of purple, just lavender, and it's been a while since I've dyed this up. There we go. It's been a while since I've dyed this colorway up, but I just really love it so much. And the colorway, you're probably wondering, like, what the heck is Tega? it's Russian for like a boreal forest, and it was actually inspired by this one album, this one musician that I listen to occasionally, called Zola Jesus. I know her name's a little out there, but I really love her music, and she has an album called Tega, and it's very, the coloring on the cover of the album is quite similar to this. It's more brown, I think, but I just came up with this colorway, and I'm on the fence about renaming this colorway just something else, because it doesn't really quite remind me of the album anymore. So it might be TBD that I'm gonna rename this something else. But this is the colorway that I'm using, and yeah, I dyed six skeins of this, and hopefully that should be enough. So yay, rainback sweater, could not be more excited to cast that on. The other thing that I've been working on is my unicorn along project. It's NILLA the Unicorn by Rachel Borello Carroll. I have a head. So here we go. I'm going to be adjusting the placement of the eyes. I don't know if you can see that. Yes, we have a unicorn horn here. We have ears, but yes, as you can see, the eyes are a little wonky, so I'm going to be shifting them down just a little bit, because yeah, they are way too high up on the head. But I really love the way this is knitting up, and this is, let me see, let me get the logo. And this is Jinx Yarns in merino worsted in an experimental dye lot number 26. So there you go. And this has just been sitting in my stash, and I'm like, you know what? It wants to be a unicorn so badly. So yeah, just having a lot of fun with that. I just have the body to knit, the arms and the legs, and then I have to add the hair and the tail, and it's going to be wonderful. So yay, unicorn head. Yeah, so okay, I think that is it for what's on and off my needles. I am probably going to move along to stash enhancements, because I have a little bit of I have some acquisitions to share with you this week, because as I mentioned, last week was the grand opening of Woolen, which is a new local yarn shop in Brooklyn Heights, and it's owned by my friend Rachel, and yay, she had a party, and you know, kind of like a soft opening for friends and family, you know, just come have some drinks and snacks and do some damage, you know. So but I did go. I wish I took more photos. I actually didn't take any, because I was just having such a wonderful time chatting with people. But the store is beautiful. Congrats, Rachel, if you're watching. It's just like such the perfect setup. You walk in and she's got, you know, obviously yarn, and just the layout. There's like a giant table in the middle where you can come, sit, hang out, knit, and you know, it's just a really lovely shop. Someone walking by with a cart. Ambient noise again. But yeah, she, what do you call it? No, you walk in and then you turn around and there's more yarn and fiber, and it's just, yeah, again, just a really wonderful store, and I could not leave without purchasing some stuff. And she had a lot of Narwhal Needleworks there. I feel like Narwhal Needleworks is the mascot of Woolen yarn, of Woolen technically, because she's got it everywhere in the shop. And of course I had to buy some, so. And I know I have not been spinning a lot lately on the podcast. I've been kind of on a spinning hiatus, if you will, but I saw this fiber just hanging draped ever so gracefully on the wall, and as I was talking with, I think I was talking to Dana or Marsha, and I just kept eyeing the skein hanging on the wall, and I'm like, if I don't grab it, someone else will, so I just made a beeline for it and nabbed it. And yeah, I took this home with me. So this is 100% BFL fiber, and you can see why it had to come home with me. And my nose is totally going to be itching after I put this down. It's already itching because fiber does that to me. But yeah, here's their card. And it's as I mentioned, BFL wool in the Earl Grey colorway. And it's just got like these really lovely shades of muted pinks, mauves, browns, blues, teals. I love this so much. So yeah, it had to come home with me. And then of course, it's not a new to me name, but I've never purchased this yarn before, and I've never knit with this fiber before. I've never knit, I will be honest, I've never knit with linen. It's not really my favorite, but this takes it to like a whole new level. This is Anzula Luxury Fibers hand-dyed yarn, and they're Vera base. It's mauve. I have to get used to saying mauve. I like the way mauve sounds better than mauve, but somehow I got into the habit of saying mauve. This is crazy. Okay, so from now on I shall say mauve. I got a mauve colorway in Anzula Fibers, but it's called Shiitake, which I can totally see why they named it Shiitake. But as I mentioned, it's a 65% silk and 35% linen. So I think the silk content really softens up the linen. And Rachel had actually had a sample knit on a mannequin at the shop. Be still my heart, it was just so gorgeous, I had to take it home with me. But here is their logo, in case you're curious, Anzula. So it's just, yeah, and the camera is doing the colorway so much justice. It's so beautiful. The other skein that I got was by Molly Girl. This is actually a new to me yarn dyer. I'm sure many of you have heard of it, but for some reason I've been living under a log like I do sometimes. And I'm just learning about Molly Girl yarn. And this is on her bouncer base, which is fingering, and it's 100% superwash merino in no sleep till Brooklyn. Yeah. I love this colorway so much. It's not hard to see why, but I really love it. I'm itching so badly to cast this on, and I don't even want it to be a pair of socks. I don't know what I want it to be, but it's just such an awesome color. I think I may just have to let it marinate in my stash for a little bit. But yeah, this was dyed specifically for woolen. I know Narwhal Needleworks also dyed a woolen colorway. And I think she has a couple of other specialty dyed colorways for her shop. So if you're in the area, they're limited. Go check it out and grab it, you know, before they all sell out, because they are just really gorgeous colorways. But yay! So that was my my little mini haul, and here's her logo. So how cute is that? Yeah, I think the logo is perfect too. Anyway, had so much fun. Again, I wish I took some more photos and video, but I was just having so much fun and enjoying myself that it just really didn't happen. But yeah, I will definitely be going back there soon. I know they're having an, you know, just kind of like a, you know, knit night. I think every Tuesdays they have, you know, get-togethers or whatever. So I'm definitely going to be checking that out one night. Yes, so I'm going to move along to sewing. As you can see, I'm wearing a new dress that I've sewn myself. So this was kind of just like an impromptu, I'm just going to whip this up because I have some fabric that I want to use, and I've been staring at this pattern for a long time. It said it was easy. But you know, I will stand up so you can see it, and I have fluff all over me now, but there are a couple of issues with it. I don't know if you can tell, but I am kind of pleased with the way it turned out. It's Swiss Dot. The fabric is Swiss Dot, which is a very, very lightweight cotton, but it has like these little textured kind of like velvet dots on it. I can't really describe it, but it's just really like a really pretty type of fabric, and then it's lined with black gauze. And the pattern is McCall's M6749, and it's an out of print pattern actually. So I made this version, which is version A, and yeah, basically the only thing different that I did was I excluded the lace on the shoulders and around the sleeves, and I actually still have to hem the dress. I haven't hemmed it yet, but yeah, and I haven't decided if I want there to be lace around the hem. But the one issue that I'm having with this dress is that I think I have to kind of maybe take a seam ripper and just redo some of the sewing on the lace portions of it, because yeah, here you can see I'm supposed to just kind of tuck this in and sew it, but I think because the lace that I use is just a smidge too wide than the pattern actually calls for, it's making it a little wonky. So I I'm probably gonna rip it out and do it over. It's not going to be perfect because of the width of the lace, but thumbs up, yay, I love it. It fits perfectly. I actually did a small bust adjustment to this because I am actually my bust is actually a size 32, but the finished measurements for the smallest size on the pattern was a 34 and a half or 33 and a half. So I did a little bit of a bust adjustment. Let me see if I can show you the pattern piece. Let me see. Here we go. All right, so this is the pattern piece. And you can see where I did the small bust adjustment. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with a small bust adjustment or an SBA, basically you take the pattern and you hold it up to your person and you mark the apex, or your personal apex, which is the fullest part of your bust on the pattern. Generally the patterns come with an apex drawn on it already, but it might differ from your body, especially if you have a larger or smaller bust than the pattern usually predicts. So you hold the pattern up to yourself and then you mark the new apex, usually with an X or a circle, you know, kind of like a nipple. But then you draw a line going straight down from the apex to the waist, and then you draw another line kind of going like maybe like 1/3 of or like 1/4 of the sleeve portion of it. So like if the apex is here, you draw like a line going this way, and then you draw a line going straight across perpendicular, maybe from like the waist, like at some part of, you know, below the apex. And then what you want to do is you want to cut along those lines, maybe leaving like a little piece of the paper still intact, just to give you, you know, so just to give it like a little hinge, if you will. And then you basically adjust the pattern to however large or small you want to make it. In my case, I wanted to take the bust in about maybe 1.5 inches. So if the pattern, it says right here, yeah, the smallest bust size on here was a size 6, which is a 34 and a half. I needed to take it in at least 2 inches. So I think I only did like 1.5 inches just because I wanted a little bit of ease. I didn't want it to be too tight. And it worked out really well. So, you know, I just taped it up and just, what do you call it? Trued up the lines a little bit, and yeah, so it was a success, I think. So yay for small bust adjustments. But yeah, overall, I really like the construction of this dress. It's comfortable. I will definitely be making more, and I definitely love the lace detail. It turned out way better than I was anticipating it to. It almost has like a Victorian kind of feel to it, even though I don't think the pattern meant for it to look like that. I think it's just supposed to be like, you know, a little sundress beach cover up or something, but it has this really awesome like lace detail. I don't know if you can see that, like right there. Yeah, it goes around and then there, and then it kind of like boxes out at the bottom. They look like pockets almost. There's no way I can stand up and show you guys, but that was a little awkward. But you know, again, just a really lovely, I wouldn't say the pattern says it was easy. I would maybe kind of say intermediate, because I did have to do a lot of seam ripping with, you know, to get the lace just right. And then kind of like the Gertie dress, the polka dot day dress that I just made, it has the same technique where you have to kind of do the what do you call it, gathered bust line. You kind of have to take it in a little bit. So there's that. And then it has a lining, as I mentioned. So, but yeah, otherwise, just I'm really pleased with the way it turned out, even though the waist is a little wonky. But yeah, anyway, that's what I made last week. But as I mentioned, I am also going to be making a Vivienne Westwood, a replica of a Vivienne Westwood dress that I found on Pinterest, and I'll try and pop a photo of it in here. But the pattern came, which I'm very excited about, and I'm probably going to be cutting out the pieces today or maybe tomorrow, I don't know. But I found something that looked, a pattern that looks pretty much like the spitting image of the Pinterest, of the Vivienne Westwood dress that I found on Pinterest. But here's the pattern. It's McCall's M7315, and I'm going to be making version let me see, well, C, but without the sleeves. So the length, so basically the length of C, but the bodice of B, I believe, or D. So, and then I'm actually going to be taking in, or just kind of altering the neckline a little bit, like widening the V, because even though the original has a V-neck, it's kind of like, it goes out a little bit. So I might play around with the neckline a little bit. So otherwise it just seems pretty doable, I think. And I like the fact that it says easy. So, but yeah, it's definitely going to come together. And I think I'm going to be adding a lining, but let me show you the fabric. So here's the fabric. Again, very similar to the original. I got this again off of fabric.com, like really cheap. I believe it was like $6 or $7 per yard, and it's bonded lace. So it's just lace, like bonded to jersey or like a nylon spandex type of, it's non-stretchy. It's only stretchy one way. No, it's not even stretchy. Once it's bonded to the actual lace, it's not stretchy at all. It's actually quite stable. But yeah, it's just bonded to like this natural colored nylon in the back. So I have that, and then I'm probably going to be lining it with this. And this is actually very, very special fabric, because this, my friends, is the lining of my wedding dress. So I don't know if you're just joining me, joining the podcast, but when I got married, my friend, who's a fashion designer, she designed my wedding dress and sewed it for me, and it was amazing. I'll try and post a photo of it here if you're curious to see what it looks like, but we went fabric shopping, we picked out everything, and this was fabric that was left over. So, you know, it's sitting in my stash, or when I went over to her D-stash, she actually gave it to me. She goes, I'm sure you probably want this. I'm like, yes, that would be awesome. So this is probably going to be lining this, and then I get to wear it to a wedding. Yay! So it comes full circle. But yes, so very, very excited about that, to get started on that, and cannot wait to let you guys know how it goes. Fingers crossed it all goes well. So yeah, and I'm trying to think what else is going on sewing wise. And I purchased that pattern from McCall's again. They were having one of their crazy sales where, you know, the pattern was $2.50. You can't go wrong with that. So these are the other, I didn't go crazy, but I did purchase 2 other patterns to go along with it. And here's one. This is, oh, it's petite. So I'm kind of petite, I guess. So here's one pattern that I got. And then I also got, this one looks a little frou-frou-y, but it is kind of in the same vein as what my wedding dress looked like. So if I were to make something out of this, it is not going to look like this pink dress. Again, you have to look past the ugly or what's not your style. So I definitely like the bodice of it, you know, having that sheer fabric going over the sweetheart neckline. So you can definitely have a lot of fun with that. I know I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that. So yay, here's to new pattern acquisitions, right? And I did order, as I mentioned, they're still having a sale, or Butterick was having a sale, so I purchased 2 corset patterns from them. So we got that coming in the mail. And I feel like I've been babbling on for way too long right now. So, but I think that is it for sewing this week. It's kind of a short episode. My bra kits are in the mail. They should be delivered today. I was supposed to get them yesterday. This is actually something that I probably should say for blather, because it is quite a rant. But I woke up, they were supposed to, my bra making kits, I ordered fabric from TaylorMade, which I will link to in the show notes, but they were supposed to arrive yesterday, but apparently there was a hitch. They said that they tried delivering it, which is hogwash, because I was home the whole day. No one rang the bell or did anything. They didn't even leave a notice, even though the tracking status said that they did. So they said, you know, you can either reschedule the delivery or come by and pick it up. So this morning I got up early, went to the post office, and waited in line for, I kid you not, an hour. All for them to tell me that it was still in the truck and it's still out for delivery. I came home and I wanted to cry, you guys. It was just a huge waste of my morning, but I really didn't want to risk, you know, I didn't want to reschedule the delivery because then that would have taken another week. I'm telling you, the Brooklyn post office stinks on so many levels. There just are no words. So yeah, that was my morning. Very stressful. And yeah, so but anyway, according to the post office, my bra kits should be here today, and I cannot wait to get started on those. And I don't know if I didn't show you the pattern last week, but this is a pattern that Maria from the Stitched in Sweden podcast, she is, as I mentioned, on a total bra kick and totally inspired me to give bra making a try. But I purchased the same pattern that she did, and it's the Marlboro pattern from Orange Sewing Patterns, or Orange Lingerie. So this is what it's gonna look like. And yeah, the kits that I purchased are, they give you enough materials and they suggest patterns. So the materials that I'm receiving are suggested for making this pattern. So yay, cannot wait for them to get here because I think I'm definitely going to just jump right in and make them when they get here. So anyway, that is sewing for this week. I'm gonna move along to shop update because we are having a shop update, and it is going to be on Saturday, which that means it's the last weekend of the month, which is when I do my international friendly shop update. So this week's update will be on Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for those of you that generally miss out on my regular updates, which happen at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, now's your chance to maybe jump on an update at a more convenient time, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So let me get my bag of my basket of yarn and share with you what will be in store. So I had some stowaways from last week's update, but yes, I will have some Phantom Fathom, I will have some Harpsichord, and I will have some Mystic on hand. But mainly I will have a lot of, let me see, Jilted Rose in this shop. I already put like a label on here. So I will have some Jilted Rose. I will have some I'm No Bird, which is the same colorway that I knit my Amethyst shawl out of. And I will have some Tega. Again, the name might change. I don't know. I haven't decided. But here it is. And then I will also have some Dirty on Purpose, which has been in high demand as of late. I've been getting lots of, you know, texts and emails from customers wanting more of Dirty on Purpose in store. So I will have it in stock. And that's all the colorways that I have dyed up right at this moment. I have a one of a kind because I had Oopsie Daisies in the dye pot. I think I'm going to be calling this Fine Wine because that's what it reminds me of. I don't know. So there's that. And I will be dyeing up some more colorways today. I haven't decided which colorways, but I'm really, I posted about this on Facebook. Oh, wait, no, I have another colorway. But wait, there's more. I will have Moondrop, which is another colorway that was requested this past week. So it's kind of like a pinky purple, like muted, very light, muted pinky purple shade. I really like it. But I am really loving this palette that I'm dyeing up this week, you guys. I posted about it on Instagram, and I might just have to set some aside for myself because I just love it. It's just such a really pretty palette. Just, you know, some ideas for you guys if you're, you know, thinking about making a shawl or something that has, you know, more than one colorway to it. I could easily knit like an exploration station. I don't know why. Something tells me like that shawl, Exploration Station by Stephen West, it's so not, like the style of it is not me, but given the right color palette, I could see it working. So I might I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but that's what's going to be in the shop tomorrow. Again, I will have a couple of other colorways. I'm dyeing some more today and tomorrow, and that's still TBD, but I hope you can make it. Thank you to everybody who made last week's update. It was very successful, and I hope you love the yarn that's coming your way. But yeah, I hope those of you who missed out last week can score some yarn this week. Saturday, again, Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that said, that brings me to the blather segment. But again, I am very unprepared for this segment this week. I mentioned the post office fiasco this morning, so there's that. And then what have I been watching? Oh, you guys, I started watching a movie last night that I can't believe I've never seen this movie before in all my life. I've heard of it, but I didn't know too much about it. But Legend. You guys, unicorns. It's all about unicorns. And Tom Cruise is in it. Mia Sara is in it from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And Tim Curry, I think he plays the devil. But anyway, I was listening to the Stuff Mom Never Told You podcast yesterday, and they mentioned this movie. I'm like, wait, how have I not seen this movie? Because yeah, the whole episode was about unicorns, which if you have not listened to the episode, it's an audio podcast only, but you should totally check it out. Again, Stuff Mom Never Told You. Just look it up on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. It was wonderful. And they mentioned this movie, and I'm like, I have to see this movie. You know, so I went on Amazon, rented it. Still not done watching it, but you guys, it is quite magical. Ridiculously magical, and cheeseball, and just everything that you can imagine. It's just awesome. So anyway, the only thing that I will say is that Tom Cruise just makes me very uncomfortable when I watch it. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's the whole like Katie Holmes, Tom Cruise dynamic thing that I was just very like, I don't find him attractive. So just watching him act in that movie just makes me very uncomfortable. And maybe it's just me, but anyway, otherwise I think the movie is great. I think it's fantastic, and I can't wait to finish watching it. School's let out. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. Give that a look if you have not seen it, or maybe rewatch it if it, you know, if it was one of your favorite movies or forgot about it. So there's that. The other thing is that I am joining Jacqueline from the Brooklyn Knit Folks podcast. She is hosting a sweep along, which is a knit along for the sweep series, which is a new to me book series. But I first heard about it on her podcast, and it's kind of, I think it's on, from what I know, I started listening to the first audiobook, and it's kind of about witches and such. It kind of reminds, it's a young adult book. It's a young adult book series, and it kind of reminds me of the Twilight series a little bit, but instead of vampires, you have witches. So I'm cool with that. And I am kind of hooked at this point. I think I'm maybe like 2 hours into listening to it. I think it's not a very long book to begin with. I think it's about like the audiobook is a total of like 5 hours. So yeah, I'm not far along into it, but I am quite hooked at this point. So I'm listening to the audiobooks, and I'm going to be partaking in her, I'm sorry, it's not the sweep along, it's the element along that she's hosting. So definitely check out her podcast. I think she has a companion episode that talks about the knit along, but I'm definitely going to be partaking in that because she picked out some really gorgeous patterns to go along with the knit along. And it all has to do with like the elements, so like earth, air, fire, and water. And you can knit, you know, you don't have to read the book series, but you know, you can pick just whatever, either whatever element you are. I'm Aquarius, so I'm probably gonna pick something from one of the air patterns that she picked out. Although I do kind of feel like I identify with both air and water, so I don't know, I might double dip into those elements. But anyway, it seems like a lot of fun, very interesting, and can't wait to get started. But yeah, other than that, I think that is it for this week. I feel like I'm a little discombobulated today just because I had a very stressful morning, and I'm kind of hungry. I think it's about maybe like a little past lunchtime right now, so I'm gonna sign off, grab some lunch, and yeah, get dyeing. So happy knitting, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, happy knitting. Bye.